attorney sent out an email a couple of days ago, and my understanding, at least according to the local media, is that action alone violated state law. So, Mr. Duffy, did it or did it not violate state law as it was reported in the media?
So that is not my interpretation, and I do not agree with that assessment.
Vice Mayor Ed Danko and City Attorney Marcus Duffy disagree over an email urging a closed-door discussion on a lawsuit involving a controversial referendum. Karen Johnson has all the details and updates.
The charter amendment being put before voters in a few weeks that was approved by City Council in July would essentially remove the city's limits on borrowing and leasing. But controversies about the language in the amendment having to do with taxpayer cost has some council members up in arms, such as Councilman Nick Klufis and Vice Mayor Danko.
You could also ask your best friend to remove the lawsuit that he gave to the city if you wanted to, you know? So I don't want to respond beyond any of that, but that's just crazy talk.
That's just what?
Crazy talk.
All right, speak
Crazy,
to me.
asking you to rescind the vote is crazy.
Okay, one at a time.
He just called what I said crazy. I'm asking you to rescind the vote.
Keep it simple.
I mean, if you don't want to, just say you don't want to, but you don't have to insult me in that process, Nick.
The amendment went into litigation when Alan Lowe, one of the candidates for Palm Coast mayor defeated in the August primary, sued the city and the supervisor of elections Friday to remove the amendment from the ballot.
The proposed charter amendment on the November 5th, 2024 ballot makes vague references to removing provisions from the city charter which limit the city's spending. However, the charter's spending limitations, which include city resident approval, are not explained on the ballot at all. This is misleading and confusing. And Florida law requires charter amendments to give fair notice of the decision being made. Therefore, the charter amendment should not be put to vote.
Meanwhile, the Palm Coast City Council gave final approval to a $358 million budget for Flagler's local morning news. I'm Karen Johnson.
Good morning, Flagler County. I'm Rich Carroll. You're listening to Flagler's Morning News on Friday, September 27th. A developer wants to build more than 2,700 homes in Flagler Beach. But what do residents think?
Many residents say that could double the size of their small town, but at Tuesday's meeting, they let city commissioners know what they thought. Their biggest concern?
John Anderson Highway.
John Anderson Highway. John Anderson Highway.
Flagler County now maintains John Anderson Highway, but if this development goes through, the road would be given to Flagler Beach to maintain. Residents say to build all those houses would take thousands of trucks, and they'd tear up that road.
Please do not take it to your possession because I think it's going to be a very bad move unless we get a lot of tax revenue from the county.
Those who spoke to the commissioners also said they felt like the property developer had too much power without asking for the city's permission.
They are giving themselves control over and over again where it says sole discretion of the declarant.
That lady read the entire agreement between the city and the developer, and she encouraged everybody to do the same. Could Flagler Beach handle doubling of its population?
You guys can't even handle your own storm drainage. Look at the front of your building. Our roads are a mess in Flagler Beach. You think that you're going to be able to handle 2,735 houses versus 453.
Would they look like Orlando? What would happen to their small town? So the question,
who are we bowing down to? Who are we giving support to? I heard last week the developers say they couldn't limit their density because they couldn't make enough money.
From the WNZF Newsroom, I'm Deb Albertson.
This local news is a service of Flagler County's Toyota dealer, Beaver Toyota US 1 St. Augustine, here to wow you. On Wednesday, 20-year-old Devondre Bernard Williams of Palm Coast was sentenced to prison for his involvement in the murders of Noah Smith and Kimarian Hall. Flagler County Sheriff Rick Staley.
The convicted killer was sentenced to 2 consecutive 50-year terms for murder and 2 additional consecutive terms, 30 years each, for other charges. After our major case unit investigated homicides that occurred in the city of Bunnell and obtained convictions, for the state attorney provided plea deals. While we can never bring back the victims to their families, we hope that the conclusion of this case with stiff jail sentences will help them bring some closure for this tragic incident. I commend our Major Case Unit for the outstanding job they did investigating these very difficult cases that started out as drive-by shootings in South Manila.
As Hurricane Helene moved closer to Florida's shores, Flagler schools announced that all schools will be closed today, following updated data from Flagler County Emergency Management. The decision to close the schools comes after a shift in forecast conditions, which was highlighted in the 8 p.m. update from Flagler County Emergency Management last night. However, any extracurricular activities or athletic events scheduled after school hours and into the weekend will proceed as planned, barring any further changes in weather conditions. And now you're up to date on Flagler's Morning News. I'm Rich Carroll.
And now, Mike Licio with your WNZF local sports update.
When two swashbuckling crews are set to do battle, it's only fitting that a hurricane would precede it. Flagler schools are closed today, but tonight's district opener between the Matanzas Pirates and Mainland Buccaneers will go on as scheduled. Rich, John, and I will be there too for the WNZF Sports Network Game of the Week. Listen live here. Watch on the WNZF Facebook and Instagram pages, plus the Flagler Radio YouTube channel. Coverage begins at 6:45. The 3-2 Pirates are ranked 8th in the region, holding the final playoff spot. The last undefeated team in the area is the FPC Bulldogs. They're at University. Ranked 3rd in the RPI, FPC is in position to take their 6th playoff trip in 8 seasons. Colby Cronk's 14 sacks lead the nation. Kickoff is at 7. Tuesday, a pair of FPC teams were in my backyard. The FPC girls golf team was at the Shores Golf Club to match up with Menendez. With 2 sophomores and a freshman on the 4-person team, this has been a year of development. Senior Madison Heck on her growth.
This year I think I've gotten a lot better at getting out of my head and just going from one shot to the next.
Freshman Ivy Seclaris is enjoying playing at the high school level.
It's a lot of fun. I like the team aspect and then the ability to get to meet a lot of new people.
For Tacey Cook, who plays soccer too, golf is different.
I like golf so much because it's so quiet and chill. I could just relax.
The Bulldog volleyball team was at St. Joseph later that evening. They trailed 2-1, and key players Marina Carlisi, Dillis Malasube, and Grace Taylor were all fighting injuries. They rallied to win the last 2 sets. Junior Faith Daly carried the team, playing all 205 points.
We definitely went through adversity, but in the end, when we're all in a huddle, coach says to play for them, and that really opens our minds, and so we just push.
The win gave FPC 11 to surpass last year's total with 7 games still left to play. WNZF is your home for local sports, with updates Mondays and Fridays. From the Sports Desk, I'm Mike Licio.